4 rhymes with the word death. Hi, I'm Miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. Today I will do some small trees, which is generally referred to as shohin, means bonsai that are definition between less than 10 to 12 inches tall. And then mame, these are not really mame. Mame bonsai can be as tiny as a little bit like a bean. The mame in Japanese means bean. But you know, many of our audience are living in small apartments and all that. They have a patio or a small garden, but they really don't have giant trees to do big bonsai. And I think, so today I will do some, make a miniature forest, because many of you are interested in forest. If you live in a apartment, you like to fantasize, you're near a forest. I think that's the beauty of bonsai. You live your fantasy or your ideal world in a miniature way. And so I just want to show you these 3 small bonsais I've done over the time. I haven't done the final pruning, which I will. And when I do the final pruning to speed up the process, I'll actually do a little wiring, because you're trying to make major changes at the end. That's very time consuming. So this tree is actually one of my favorite. This is actually a very old Catlin elm that I started bought in a 1-gallon can about 20 years ago. So, you know, you can keep trees small. And I did a lot of pruning. You can see there's a big growth. You can see it's a little weird looking. What I would do is actually drill this out to make it a hollow. It's almost like a squirrel hole. I think that would be very interesting instead of a lump that's a little bit unsightly. Anyway, you can see I did a bit of a pruning so it's thin, but by March, April, May, it will be totally full with leaves. And after a couple, 3 years, again, you will see it's a really full tree. The reason why they're sparse, I cut them back drastically to shape. Now I'm ready to make I like the shape now, so I'm ready to make a full. This is the rosemary prostrata, the prostrate variety of the rosemary has almost all year round blue flower blooming. And last night I had the lamb chop, and I actually took some branches off this to cook. So it's kind of a nice dual function purpose bonsai. And this one is it's a quickie. I don't think this is more than 5 years old, maybe 3 years old. And I just been working on it by making the branch coming down to simulate an oak tree that's a reclining oak tree. 3 to 5 years, you have a very nice bonsai. This is something you really treasure because it's 20 years old. Whereas this one I dug up I bought it from a friend's 5-gallon can. And, you know, I only spent 3 months on it, and it looks making use of the existing branches. So with that in mind, then today I will do a miniature forest because, like I said, not many of you have access to a big area or big trees. And these are the Chinese elm that I have. I happen to have some in 5-gallon can and some in 1-gallon can. Some are bigger than the others, which is perfect because in a forest you don't really want to a uniform size forest. Sometimes you do, but I think for a small forest, you do want to see a little variety. So with that in mind, then let me get going. Okay, so the first step is to take all the trees out of the pot. These are just growing in my garden soil for maybe 6 months or so. You can see a lot of weeds. So these are 3. there are 3. So I would have a forest of 9 trees. These are really about a year-old seedling, maybe a year and a half or not quite 2 years. Actually, I should say they are 2-year-old seedlings. This time of the year, you can be quite brutal with the trees because they will root out very nicely. I think the reason why you can't kill trees this time of the year is by definition, the leaves are in balance with the roots, because until the tree is ready, the leaves are not really going to come out, so that the roots is always consistent with the amount of roots you have. The roots is always consistent with the amount of leaves to supply. So you can see these are the trees. The tools I need is not very much. I think this branch cutter is always nice to cut off branches that are a little bit hard to access. And this is my handy dandy clipper, and then that's the scraper to the hook to scrape off excess roots and soil. So I should start with the bigger ones first. Trick is the following: is you plant in the deep pot, so that when you move it into a final pot, usually it's an oval pot to show the span, to give you the feeling of expansion, and very shallow to show you the expansion. But it's really hard in the beginning to keep it alive in the shallow pots. So what you do is you get grow in the oval pot also, but much deeper. And then when it's ready, what you can do, in fact, I'll plant the tree up high. What you can do is take it out of the pot and take my reciprocal saw and cut off the bottom to a height that will fit the shallow pot. And then, given that this is much deeper, these trees will be sticking out above the shallow pot, which is what you will find in most bonsai books. That's what forests look like. Now you see what I really wanted to do. This is where all the roots are, you see? Up here, there's also lots of roots down here. So what I can do, like if I have a shallow pot, I will cut it off here. So then this would be about the top, about the soil level. But on the other hand, if I have a deep pot, I can let the bottom roots remain so that the tree will grow a little faster. So that's the trick, the reason why you want to use a deeper pot to start your forest. Like again, this is the same. You can see it started to root out up on top, and there's a little gap that I don't really need this part of the roots, but it's still in the meantime feeding the tree. Almost every tree is like that. You can see it tend to grow where the soil, top of the soil is, but then the bottom taproot was there. It's going that far down, whereas the tree really, their roots starting here, which you can cut off the bottom and the tree will still live, but it slowed down the growth some. So I like to make it grow fast. So I'll keep all of this. You see, again, I could have cut off here, but then I retained this because I have a thick pot. I think it's the roots tend to grow where there's oxygen more. That's why the bottom seeks water, the top basically seeks oxygen, I think. Now, then there's a question about the number of trees per forest, forest planting. The Japanese rules, the Japanese bonsai rules is never 4, but also always odd number. And 4, of course, is an even number. And the reason for the odd, even number is that the Chinese or Buddhism superstition, well, the Chinese word 4 rhymes with the word death. So people don't like to have any bad omen when you buy a bonsai. So they never have 4-tree forest. And then the reason for the odd number is that it gives you more design possibility for randomness rather than uniformity, or to be able to space them out a little bit more nicely. So with that then, I will work on it. So for example, this is a nice kind of a formal upright. And I want to cut off some redundant branches as well as some of the dead branches. So for example here, you see the stubs, this one and that one are dead. And so that's unsightly. So the branch cutter is very good at cutting into these odd angles to get rid of the dead branch. So that's what I'm doing. Actually my little clipper is just as good. You see, this cuts really well. So if you look at this tree, I just cut them to thin it out a little bit, and also make sure everything goes out nicely, not clashing. Like this branch shouldn't be much higher than this, so I should cut it off at the bottom, but I will find a node so that there will be not a dead stub afterwards. So you can see that's a nice little tree all by itself. And you want to do every one of them so that together they look nice. I will cut off this root since it's going to the side. I'd rather have it come down like this nicely. So I'm shaping each tree. So for example, this branch is kind of long, that's fine. But then this is a bar branch, that means it's exactly the opposite side. Generally doesn't happen in nature as much, and so I clip it off. And then I clip off this one because it's too close to that one. And I clean off the stub. I want to make this thing going upright because the top is usually straight, but that's not possible. So I cut it off here, so when the butt comes out, it will go straight up. So I do each one. And then you don't want a side branch to be taller than the apex. So you cut off a little bit here so they will shoot out and give you the feeling of how do you say that shape? Pyramidal shape. The top is smaller, the bottom is bigger. So this tree is almost like a formal upright. And given that somebody got to be the tallest, I'll make this this height of the tree. I think there will be plenty coming out. And I'm just really following in nature to not clip off too much. This is the branch, so cut off. But make sure all the branches are there to fill in holes. So this looks like a nice tree, and then this is crooked, so you plant it forward towards the front so that when you look at it from the front, the tree is straight. So you do a little bit of finagling to take advantage of what you got. Like this branch is very low, but not all forest trees start from the top, so I will let it go and play with it. As it gets thickened, I'll be able to push it down. I'm just cleaning up the excess branching, but the rest of it look pretty interesting, so I'm not going to modify it too much. Just let nature be its own guide. So very quickly, they're all getting done. 3 more, I already did 6, looks like. This is really not a very attractive tree, so I tried to straighten it out a little bit. And when the tree is not very straight, you try to show the straight front and let the curve be on the side. This one almost needs no trimming. It's naturally a forest tree. Almost no clipping needed. I didn't do anything before. And that's the last tree. It's that quick. Well, this one is going that way. It doesn't make sense, so you cut it off. And then that side is better than this side. They are bark branch, so I cut off this side. Now you have this apex, you want this to go to the side. So that's it. I have my trees shaped. Now I will take it out of the pot and I'll put in my root pruning screen. Now I will put my trees back. I said I was going to put the bigger one in the center. What you usually do is that you have a triangle, then you build it up like triangle, triangle, triangle. So it doesn't look, give it a little bit more randomness. Now this one is definitely a little too high, and I got plenty of roots, so I'm gonna cut this off somewhat to get the roots top at about the same height. So you can see the roots at the top is about the same height. This one's a little higher, so I should cut off a little bit of this one too. There's plenty of roots, so it's not to worry. And like I said, in the springtime, they self-compensate by the leaves come out a little bit later when the roots are cut off too much. So that there's always equalization between the amount of roots and the amount of growth, so that can keep the tree supplied. I think I can still do the final adjustment when I repot it into a shallower pot, but it looks okay. This one a little bit too tall for the skinniness, but again, there's plenty of time to adjust that later. With that in mind, then, let me just put in some of the soil back. I should really use my good soil mix, but for now, I just use the same garden soil, and then I'll do it later to fill it in with the good stuff. So for example, this root is going the wrong direction, so I'll try to force it to go to the right direction. you don't want the tree spacing to equal between each other because you wanted some randomness to show the artistic aspect of it. And for example, this branch is bumping into the other branch unwillingly, so that's not good. So you have a choice. Since there's plenty branch, I will cut this off to encourage the growth that way. I just cut it for now, and hopefully maybe I to grow out that way. But you can see the spacing here is different from every tree is a little bit different in spacing, and that's what you want, so that you don't create a uniformity. So this is a very rough planting. What I'll do is that I will change this into my regular good soil mix, bonsai mix, which is 1 part sandy loam, 1 part peat moss, and 1 part perlite. And like I want to create a little bit more depth, so I moved this one out. So there will be some adjustment needed when I repot it, but I'll have plenty of time to do that, and it's easy to break them apart. So today I have made a small bonsai forest. The idea is that many of you like forests, but many of you don't have a big garden, and you like to live, let's say you live in an apartment, so you like to do small bonsai that's handleable, and also maybe you're old, you don't like to lift heavy weights. So I created a bonsai, in this case 9 trees, Chinese lace bark elm, and they should leaf out very quickly, and I will give you an update every 6 months or so. And it should turn out to be a very nice bonsai. And what I will do is that in about a year, I will change it into a bigger pot, maybe put it like this, and shallow, so that when it's a shallow oval pot, it creates the impression of illusion of a span, like it's part of a landscaping on top of a hill or something. And then this, the excess soil will show on top like a little bit higher than the base, so that that's typical of a bonsai forest, where it's like a little hump. So that's it. So thank you very much for watching, and click like if you found that informative and useful to you, to encourage me to do more. And please subscribe to our channel. We'll notify you of any new video that you might find interesting. So thank you very much. See you again next week.